Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP has a fight with her friend over a $500 teapot. Am I the butthole because my friend ruined my Yixing teapot and I want her to replace it or give me $500? When I went to China, I bought myself a Yixing teapot. This is a clay unglazed pot that gets seasoned the more you make tea in it, kinda like a cast iron pan. Since it's unglazed, you can't wash it with soap or any rough sponges. You clean it by using hot water and then you let it air dry. Nothing else. This is the issue. I left for a work trip and my friend watched my cat. I paid her. I told her she can use anything in the kitchen. My Yixing teapot is not in the kitchen, and neither are any of my fancy loose leaf teas for it. I have a normal kettle in the kitchen for guests to use. I came back and found the Yixing teapot in my sink, and it smells like soap. It also has multiple scratches on the inside. I called her up, and she told me she used it because she loved the tea that I make with it. She then washed it with a rough wire sponge and used soap. She didn't know where my sponges were and didn't want to put it in the dishwasher. I tried to fix it, and I couldn't. Anything brewed inside of it comes out with the taste of soap, and the scratches are just getting bigger with every boil I try. It's ruined. I called her up and asked her to replace it since she ruined it. She told me to just clean it, and I told her I tried. She agreed, and I sent her a link to the teapot from the same store that I bought mine that was the most similar. It's actually cheaper than the one that I bought in China. It's about $500. She called me pissed off after I sent her the link and refused to pay it. She claims I should have told her not to use it. I pointed out that it was behind glass and I didn't think I needed to. I asked her to pay again and she's pissed. Should I just cut my losses? The argument that you should have told her not to use it is just so stupid. So don't use my teapot. Also, don't use my vibrator or my toothbrush or any of my medicine. And don't touch the hot water heater, and don't touch the HVAC unit. Like, what? That list is so long. That's so stupid. OP, I don't think you can save the teapot or the friendship, unfortunately. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my uncle that I don't want to be like his kids? I'm a 14-year-old girl, and my mom died when I was little. She had been sick for a while, and before she died, she set everything up so that I would go to her best friend, Katie. My uncle, Nick, fought for custody of me after my mom died because he thought that I should be with family. Katie has custody of me and adopted me, but I spend 1 weekend a month with Nick and his family. Although lately it's been a little less because of competitions. The visits to Nick's house aren't court-ordered. Katie just wants me to have a connection with my biological family. Nick and Katie are very different parents. Katie and her husband are both doctors. Nick is a cop and his wife is a preschool teacher. I've been in private school my entire life. And my school is 1 to 2 years ahead of the local public schools, which are some of the best in the area, and ahead of the public schools in other areas. Nick and his wife homeschool their kids, mostly for political reasons. I do competitive cheerleading through my school, and I do competitive dance through a studio. I also play piano. I used to do clarinet, but I just quit to have more time for cheer. Nick's kids go to church youth group and youth choir, and don't do any other activities. Katie also makes me earn my allowance. I have to work, and she'll match whatever I make at the end of the month, and Nick just gives his kids money whenever. I was at Nick's house last weekend, and he was doing his usual thing where he talks trash about Katie and her parenting, and how I never have free time, which is not true by the way, because I'm always doing homework, or at dance, or cheer, or working, and how his kids actually get to be kids because they only do 2 to 3 hours of school a day. And they don't have to worry about competitions or maintaining a 3.0 GPA. He said something like, "Wouldn't it be nice to slow down and get to be kids like my kids?" I told him I like my life the way it is, and I wouldn't want to be like his kids. I'm going to start dual enrollment college classes next year, and I don't know if his kids are even going to be able to go to college, considering my 10-year-old cousin still can't multiply single-digit numbers. And my 14-year-old cousin is technically a grade above me, but she can't solve simple linear equations. Plus, they don't have any hobbies. Every time I come over, we just go to the mall and look around and watch movies at their house and eat a lot of fast food. He got pissed because I have no right to criticize his parenting and insult his kids, so he called Katie and told her to pick me up early because I'm a spoiled, entitled brat that thinks I'm better than them. Katie thinks I should have just smiled and nodded and that I went a little too far. We've decided it'll be best if I don't go to their house for a while, but I'm starting to feel bad because I did kinda call my cousin stupid. Well, there is one, there is one thing that I agree with the uncle on, which is, yeah, you do think you're better than the cousins because you are better than the cousins, at least in terms of education. Can't really evaluate on other criteria, but yeah, your cousins don't really know anything because they're not being educated at all. Ah, man, this guy sounds insufferable. It's totally okay for him to criticize Katie's parenting, but if anyone criticizes his parenting, if you can even call it that, oh my god, how could you do something so cruel? Ah, what a loser. I can definitely see why your mom wanted you to go to Katie and not the uncle. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your uncle 1 out of 5 buttholes for the hypocrisy and 2.5 out of 5 buttholes for obviously failing his kids. Am I the butthole for telling my sister-in-law that her strictly confidential information had already been leaked by her own mother, which caused a massive family fight? My sister-in-law holds a political office in the municipality where we live. During a conversation, she confided in me a strictly confidential piece of information on the condition that I would not tell anyone, not even my partner, who is her brother. However, she also told me that she had shared it with her mother, my mother-in-law, who was likewise not supposed to pass it on. So for 4 days, the only people who were meant to keep this to themselves were my mother-in-law and me. On the 4th day, today, there was going to be a meeting with the people concerned, and the information would be shared with them anyways. After that, the information could be published within the family. So I promised her I would keep the information to myself, which I did. To be clear, it was a secret connected to her political position, but not top secret. The day after our conversation, my partner, who's her brother, approached me and told me that he had a secret piece of information to share. At first, I didn't react. He kept talking, and it quickly became clear that he was referring to that exact secret. I interrupted him and said that I was already aware of it, without specifying what it was about. I then asked him where he had gotten the information, and he said his mother had told him. A few hours later, my sister-in-law came to visit, and I let her know that unfortunately her mother had passed the secret on. She confronted her mother, and it led to a huge argument. After that, my partner confronted me and blamed me for the entire situation. He says the family is now in conflict because I didn't keep my mouth shut and told my sister-in-law that the secret had been shared. It's also important to mention that during the confrontation, my mother-in-law lied. First, she claimed she hadn't told him anything. Then she said that her husband, their father, who by the way was not supposed to know either, had probably told him. Then she accused me of having told him. Now I'm in a fight with my partner because he gave me confidential information that I wasn't supposed to pass on, but I informed the original source of that confidential information that it had been shared. So basically, my partner says that I'm the butthole because he told me the secret and I ran it to sister-in-law. What? So OP's the one and only person who actually kept their mouth shut and OP is the problem here? Buh? OP, the family you married into is dramatic, messy, and cannot keep a secret. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for breaking up with my boyfriend after he made a very inappropriate comment to my sister? I'm gonna start by saying I don't think I'm the butthole, but my now ex-boyfriend claims I've been overreacting and exaggerating. I've been dating this guy for 3 years, and I really thought that he was the one. But today, he made me quickly change my mind. I have a half-sister who's 16. I'm 22. We have the same dad, but different moms, and we don't look much alike. 2 years ago, my dad developed a severe form of leukemia, and he passed away within a couple of months. Needless to say, it was the hardest thing that my sister and I had to face in life. My sister took it particularly hard. She used to love going to the gym and working out, but she stopped doing so. She also started eating much more junk food and ended up gaining a lot of weight. Today, my boyfriend and I went to my sister's house as her mom had invited all of us for lunch. We were eating homemade pizza, and my sister ended up asking my mom if she could have another slice. That's when my boyfriend said, "Are you sure you want another one looking like that?" My sister got up from the table and ran to her room. I was in shock. And I wasn't able to tell him anything, nor follow my sister to her room, which I deeply regret. Thankfully, my boyfriend and I don't live together, So before he dropped me off at home, I told him it was over because he can't disrespect my sister like that, especially because he had been there when my dad died and he knew how it made both of us feel. I tried to call my sister and she won't answer. I texted her mom to ask her if she's okay, and she said she's okay and she's not mad at me, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody right now. I'm gonna go over to her mom's house after she's done with school tomorrow and bring her some flowers. I know that I'm not the one who said anything, but I hope she can forgive me for not stepping up. I was in shock, and I hope she understands. Well, OP, obviously you're not a butthole for dumping a guy. You can dump a guy for any reason, including no reason. That's just how relationships work. But as for reasons go, this one's pretty justifiable. That is a disgusting way to talk to another person, let alone a teenager, let alone your girlfriend's little sister. OP, I'm giving your ex-boyfriend 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my father the only way I could visit him while he convalesced was if he paid for the time that I would need to take off work? When I was a kid, my dad was a workaholic. We never lacked anything in my childhood home, except his time and attention. He kept saying one thing over and over. Who's gonna pay the bills if I don't work? My dad leased a new Mercedes every few years. Our home had a heated indoor pool. We had a housekeeper. There were places in the budget for him to cut back. When I was hospitalized at 16 after I got hit by a car, he came the first night, and then I didn't see him again until I was released. When my older sister got married, he only showed up for the ceremony and reception. Nothing else. And he caused problems. I grew up knowing that I would never treat my kids that way, and I've lived to that standard that I set for myself. I use all my paid time off every year. I watch my kids play sports. I spend time with my wife. They are my priority, not my job. My dad recently had a heart attack. He's fine, but he's all alone. My mom had enough of his mess a while back and moved to Portugal. So he has a big house and a nurse. He wants me to come see him. I could, but that would mean using my paid time off on him instead of my family. So I told him he would need to cover my salary if he wanted to visit. I told him no one would pay my bills if I took time out to go see him. He got really angry at me and said that I was being a money-grubbing butthole, and that isn't how he raised me. I pointed out this is exactly how I was raised. I started pointing out all the times that he chose his job over his family. I reminded him why mom left. He hung up after I brought up my sister having to wait for him to finish a business call before he walked her down the aisle. My wife thinks I'm being harsh with a lonely old man. I don't really need his money. I have a great job, and my boss would approve my extra paid time off without question. I just have better things to do. I think I'll eventually cave, but right now, I just want him to understand what he created. OP, I think you are not the butthole. Yes, you are being petty and vindictive, but this feels very justifiable to me. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/am I the butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.